In this video, I'm going to give you 2 techniques that will make your comic easier and it'll improve your visual storytelling at the same time. Also in this video, I'm going to use footage from my thumbnail course, which is available in the link below. So if you want to improve your visual storytelling through thumbnails, then click the link in the description. So let's talk about technique number 1, which is using the backgrounds. Backgrounds are often seen as a bit of a chore. Too many details, they're not quite as interesting, and you just want to focus on the characters because the characters are the things that most people care about. It's where the emotion and the drama is. And I totally get that. But if you just focus on drawing the characters for your comic, then you run the risk of your comic being repetitive and boring. Plus, your audience may end up getting lost within the scene. Now, the most common panel that features the background is the establishing shot. This is often, but not always, the first panel, and it establishes where we are in the scene. It is very important, but I'm not as interested in establishing shots for this video. I'm interested in using our backgrounds to help tell our stories more easily, especially with dialogue-heavy scenes. So take it away, me. So there are a couple of questions that we can ask ourselves. How can we use the environment to make the transition between panels more interesting? So what we want to avoid is having a shot where it shows character A talking to character B, then character A talking to character B, and character A talking to character... Boring, right? It's repetitive and rubbish. So how can we show the environments and how can we use the environments to vary that up a lot more without it just being arbitrary? We don't want to just like draw a plant pot in the corner of the room just for the sake of being different. It has to serve a purpose and drive the story forwards, because otherwise you're going to run into pacing issues. One way that you can do that is you can look at the next page and the page after of your comic script and think about, okay, what's coming up next? Because you can build to that moment in the scene that you're in now. So for us, and it doesn't need to be from one scene to the other, it can be the same scene. So for us, in the Fallout thing, we've got the 2 main characters talking to each other, and as that conversation is going, somebody would have arrived outside the house, walked up to the door, and rung the doorbell. And this is a Vault-Tec guy with a clipboard. That's in the game, right? So we know that's coming. The audience doesn't know that's coming. So we can show them that that's coming, right? Let me show you 3 examples because we're all visual learners, right? So the first thing that I want to do is I want to establish not the characters, but the setting. And this will become very important very shortly. So let's say that's the house. I don't know. There's a window, there's another window, and there's the street. So we can start by adding in a couple of word balloons here. So we've got 1 word balloon there, maybe another word balloon. Actually, no, they're on the ground floor. So they're talking there and there. Okay, so that's panel 1, done. Panel 2, this is where we can have character A talking to character B. There's character A. Oh, look at that smile, isn't that lovely? Character B. In fact, I'm actually going to push that person to the side because we need a word balloon here, 1, and a word balloon here, 2. There we go. So the conversation's going, that's great. Now, usually what happens is, this is what a comic will look like, is this, and then this. And it's boring. I mean, maybe just to be radical, you might do this. You might really zoom in on one of them, like, whoa, what a variation. But we're not going to do that. Instead, we are going to use the environment, and we know what's coming up. And what the pivot point in this scene is the Vault-Tec guy ringing the doorbell and them opening the door to talk to him. So that's the pivot point. So that's what we're building up to around this conversation. So let's show we've got the establishing shot of the house. We've got the establishing shot of the 2 characters talking. Now let's establish that. Let's do, actually, let's do that, maybe. There you go. That's the front of a van. Wow. Even for a box drawing, that is crap. Sorry. There we go. There's the van, and there's the door. Boom. And he's pulled up outside, where? Outside the house. And that's why it was important to establish the house in the first panel, because we now know that this van is outside of this house, and we know that this house belongs to these people. And the reason we know that is because these word balloons are carrying on the same conversation. So we know that the people talking in this house are these guys here. I'm also going to put a little symbol there. That's not what the actual symbol is, but just as a placeholder, that's a symbol, okay? And again, this will be important later. So 3 panels in, and we've only used them talking to each other once. Now what we can do is we can again vary it up, and we can have the close-up shot of one of the characters talking, maybe. And if you really wanted, if you needed extra panels, then sure, chuck in another one of them talking to each other. Maybe they're in different, maybe they're walking around the room, maybe they're sitting down and talking, I don't know. Whatever they're doing, that's fine. Because you can use these panels more than once, these panel shots more than once. It's just when they're being used over and over and over again, that's when it becomes repetitive and a little bit boring. This brings us on to technique number 2, which is using your script. A lot of us get tunnel vision when we're making our comics. We look at our script when we're working on our comic, obviously, and we work that page until it's done, and then we move on to the next page and the next page. But you're missing some key storytelling tricks and techniques if you do this, especially as it relates to setup and payoff. If you're working with a writer, or even if you're writing the comic yourself, it's very unlikely that you'll have these setup and payoff instructions within the script. The only times when that really happens is if you're leading up to a big event, like a big battle or a big reveal or something big happening in your comic. But we can use setup and payoff all the time to great effect within our comic, and it doesn't have to lead up to the big explosions. It can be used to help with the pacing of our storytelling. And to explain how this works and how you can use it for your comic, I'm going to put you in the very capable hands of me. For example, let's say that the monster has horns, because this is going to make it easier for me. One of the things that I can do is put like a little horn shape there, just in the trash. Because now we know that, oh, that signifies maybe the monster is hiding there and he sneaks around and follows her down the alley. It's a nice little bit of subtle storytelling. And it's subtle enough that most people won't see it. Some people might, but most people won't. But it's one of those things that just makes storytelling a lot more fun, where you can sort of hide little things within the panel. So that's quite a nice idea. So that's panel 1, right? I'm going to put a load of boxes here, a load of stuff, just stuff, just set dressing, maybe some liquid or whatever. It's kind of gross. But it's a dark, dark alley. And I'm actually going to put something on top of that, because I've looked ahead at the other panel and I remember what's happening next, and I'll get back to that later. This can here is going to have fallen, and it's going to clatter here. So this has fallen like that, and it's fallen onto whatever that is. Let's say it's another trash can, okay? So let's just do a bit of color this all in. That'll be lovely. What noise would that make? I'll just say clang. But this is the monster, and so we can introduce a little bit of dramatic irony here. And dramatic irony is when we know what's going on, but the characters don't know what's going on. So we know that this clang is likely caused by this monster. She's heard it, but she hasn't seen it yet. And then this last panel, we can basically keep the same. So we can show her be like, oh no, what is that? To see the other examples plus extras like a word balloon guide and a thumbnail cheat sheet, then click the link in the description to get access to the thumbnail course. I've intentionally kept this course as short as I possibly can because I know we just don't have the time to commit to 3 or 4 hours of a single course on a single subject. And I don't think listening to me for hours and hours and hours going on and on and on is going to help that much. I've also tried to make it as interactive as I possibly can. And I really encourage you to draw along with me, so you're not just watching it passively, you're actively working on either the examples that I give or your own comic at the same time. You'll easily get this course done in an hour and you'll apply what you learn as you watch it. And if you do apply the things that you learn in the course, then it'll improve not just your pacing, but the clarity of your storytelling as well. because you can drop subtle hints and clues that can lead up to the various events that happen within your story. It's actually really fun to do once you understand how to do it. The key to these two techniques is to figure all of this out while you're thumbnailing. That's why I made the thumbnailing course. You really don't want to get all the way through to the coloring stage only to figure out that you've drawn the same panel shots for the last 20 pages and you realize it's a bit boring. So do all listen to thumbnails. Thumbnails are your ally. So if you spend just a little bit more time on the thumbnails, then it'll pay off hugely for you. Not only ensuring that you make a better comic, but you'll actually make your comic faster because you'll know exactly what your ideas are. So now all that's left is for you to just make them come to life. And you won't be second guessing everything. That's the worst feeling in the world when you get to the inking and you're thinking, I kind of want to redraw this. Also, this isn't a thumbnail. What is it then? Well, you have to buy the course to find out. If that doesn't make you do it, nothing will. Get it cheaper by signing up in the description below because for the first 7 days, I'm doing early bird pricing and it's coming out on this date on screen. So 7 days after that date, it's going up to the full price. Now, if you want another much more unexpected way of improving your comic, then watch this video next because I'll show you how to avoid probably the biggest mistake that most comic creators make.